Hi everyone, I'm Mark from Triceratops and I will present you how to play Pachacuno. So first we have a look at the game components. What's inside the box? There are 54 terrain tiles, 24 where half of them are covered with black mountains, 15 that are mostly mountainous, and 15 that only have a small part of mountains. There is one white village tile that will get placed in the middle of the board. There are 42 different demands which are stored in a handmade fabric bag. There are 57 resources, 8 pieces per color, there are 7 different colors and 1 single gray resource. There are 6 llamas, half of them are white, the other half is black. There are 6 frame pieces where each village has a different color. 1 assembly plan, and of course the rulebook. So how to set up the game? It's quite easy with the assembly plan. You place it on the table and then you just add the according tile on the map. What you can also do is to assemble it without a plan. It's not that difficult as patterns appear several times. For each village, a demand is randomly drawn from the textile bag and put into the corresponding cutout. Demands should never show the color of their village. As an example, the red village never has a demand for red. If such a demand is drawn, it is put back into the textile bag and a new demand is drawn. At the beginning of the game, there must be no white demand on the board. Next to the board, the resources are arranged in color as stockpiles. Now we focus on how to actually play the game. Each player decides on a color and takes one llama of their color, while all the other llamas are placed in stock. The 2 starting llamas are placed on the white village in the middle of the board and get a white resource on their back. The player with the white llama starts the game, while the player controlling the black llama gets a gray resource for balancing reasons. The players take turns, while each turn consists of the following actions which take place one after the other: rotate, moving, trading, and then refilling. But let's have a look at each of the actions in detail. The first thing a player has to do is to rotate a tile on the board. A further rotation can be performed by the player by spending 2 resources from their personal supply. Tiles that are occupied by a llama cannot be rotated. The same counts for the tile that the opponent has moved during his last turn. The second action a player performs is to move. Important to note, the black llamas can only move on the mountainous black parts of the tiles, while the white llamas are only able to move on the flat, lower parts of the tiles. Each player has to move their llamas at least 1 tile. Only if they are located in a village they are allowed to stay several turns without being moved. When moving, the llamas may move to any terrain tile or village on the board that has an uninterrupted path from the starting point of the llama, regardless of its distance. However, if a village is crossed on the way, the llama must rest there for the rest of the turn. Except for the villages, llamas are not allowed to move on the frame pieces. Villages are accessible to both players and can be entered from 6 directions in the case of the central white village, or from 3 directions in case of the villages on the frame pieces. It is possible that several llamas may be on one village or terrain tile at the same time. The third action the player can perform is to trade. With every llama that rests on a village after moving, the player can trade resources or buy llamas. There are 4 different cases. First, if a llama is on a village and has the same color as its resource, it is not able to sell it. For example, you can never sell a blue resource in a blue village. Second, if a llama has a resource which is not shown on the demand of the village, it can sell it, but it receives nothing in return. Third, if a llama has a resource which is shown on the lower, smaller demand flag and sells it, the traded resource is added to the player's personal supply. Fourth, if a llama has a resource that is shown on the upper, larger demand flag, it can sell it and add 2 pieces of the traded resources to the player's personal supply. Each time there has been a trade, the demand of the village gets removed, so a player can only trade once in a village per turn. Remove demands are placed next to the board and do not return into the textile bag. If players receive a resource through a trade that they do not yet have, they put it into one of the 7 cutouts in front of them. Other resources of the same color are placed in front of the player. Players' personal supply consists of both the resources they have put into the cutouts and the resources that are placed loosely in front of them. In exchange for 4 resources from their personal supply, a player can buy more llamas of their color. The new llama is placed on the village where it was bought. A player can own a maximum of 3 llamas. The llamas are moved independently. At the end of the turn, missing demands are renewed by random drawing, again following the rule that a demand must never show the color of the corresponding village. When the textile bag is empty, all used demands are added back to the bag. In addition, the player now equips all their llamas that have previously sold their resource or were newly bought with a new resource matching the color of the village. The game ends when the first player has at least one of each of the 7 resources, except for the grey one, and wins the game. Resources that are still being transported by llamas are not counted. That's already it. We wish you a lot of fun while playing, and thanks for listening.